Right off the bat, let's make a couple things clear. First, there is no one thing that makes discarded milk carton such a good add-on. It's a bunch of tiny things that, once you understand them, lead to a serious improvement in the unknown's potential. It is also a very hard add-on to use on an already difficult character. Second, it's almost impossible to do testing for this add-on. Milk seems to mess with the physics of the orbs in a lot of weird ways, and as far as I'm concerned, physics sits at the same lunch table as black magic and voodoo. That is to say, I have no idea why basically any of this works, or even if what I'm about to share with you is 100% true, or that most of this isn't the result of some unintentional bug. If new info comes out in the future, or something gets changed, I'll have a pinned comment to explain any potential changes, so you can always check that if you're a bit unsure. And all of this is why I'm calling this video a spotlight and not an actual guide. I myself am still struggling to use Milk to its fullest capacity, especially after taking an extended break from playing DbD these past few weeks. But I'm more than confident in my claims that Milk is going to be one of the strongest add-ons in the game. I've even found a couple tips that will make Milk a lot easier to use, so why don't we start there? Using Milk requires some pretty severe shifts in your mentality to use at its most effective. This is because most everything that makes Milk good is also what makes it rough to use the first couple times. Take for example the most obvious strength of Milk, the extra distance your UVX bounces. While in more experienced hands, this is a tool to shut down loops in genuinely absurd ways, to a beginner, this makes the UVX less reliable, as the extra bounce makes it doing basic hits off the floor so much harder. But thankfully, there's several solutions to this problem. The easiest is to start doing your floor bounces into objects instead of relying on the second bounce to not go too far. While on some maps like Coldwind Farms this is easier said than done, most of the time trying to aim your second bounce onto an object can almost completely nullify any attempts at the survivor dodging. Also, if you're a hardcore dedicated main to the unknown, you may be able to start learning and using the minor differences in ground heights to either offset or amplify the increased bounce effect. For example, bouncing the orb into shack or another building that has a slightly raised floor compared to the ground outside. Also, if you happen to get sent to Eyrie of Crows, there's these little hills on the ground that unironically have more skill expression than half the killer roster, so if you get the chance, maybe have some fun with those. This is getting a bit too nerdy though, so let's walk it back real quick. Another thing you can try and do is to go for wall bounces. Survivors instinctively run away from walls when they see you try and do a bounce shot off the wall, since default wall bounces tend to be a bit flaccid. But unfortunately for them, that's exactly what you want them to do when Milk is in play, as them running away from the wall means that they are running directly into your UVX range. Just remember to lead your shots a little bit more, and all should work out. These tips combined with the good old 90-degree tech should help you mitigate the downsides of Milk in most situations, however the occasional certified Milk moment is almost inevitable. With those basics out of the way, let's get into the good stuff. Starting with the easiest to understand benefit of Milk, it very slightly increases the speed of your orbs after bouncing. When I say slightly, I mean a few frames under normal circumstances. Slightly. Unfortunately, this is DbD we're talking about, and there's never been anything that saves just a few frames that's widely considered to be incredibly strong. Much like those other perks and add-ons that totally don't exist, this bonus speed makes UVX hits feel much more consistent for you, and incredibly bull for the survivors if we're being honest with ourselves. It also helps with hitting survivors locked in short animations like vaulting and unhooking, just in case you were curious. However, this minor speed increase significantly affects attacks with long airtime like pop-ups, as the speed makes them even harder to react to. But the speed isn't the only thing that makes Milk boosted pop-ups crazy. Obviously the bounce strength boosts these kind of hits too, but there's a secret stat that most people don't even know exists that really pushes your trick shots to the next level. This secret stat is how Milk reduces the friction of the UVX by a minor amount. This isn't explained anywhere in the game, and you can only find this out by going to the wiki page for the game and checking Milk's add-on effects there. So what exactly does decreasing the UVX's friction do? In short, I got no clue. But I do know it allows you to slide your orb in a lot more places that typically can't be slid on, creating more opportunities for pop-ups. Just know that sometimes it will change the direction or speed of your orb when you do a pop-up that default can also do. Okay, so this was supposed to be a section about the 3 bounces and the community posts I made about them. However, unfortunately, I've come to realize that I don't think that there are actually 3 bounces possible with Milk. I think there's a couple other things going on that kind of give the illusion of a 3rd bounce. The main one being the orb splitting, which is a bug where your orb will go to a different place than where it goes visually. To put it really simply, I think this is similar to like the Wesker tech where there's like a ray cast that somehow gets split from the actual object. I'm only definitely spitballing here. I have no way of knowing what causes it, but I know that's a thing that happened, and I think that's what I was mistaking for a third bounce mixed with sliding. Give an example of this, here's a clip on Larry's where I thought I had a third bounce, but under very careful scrutiny, if you look very closely as it zooms in, you can see that it's actually just being very different. I really thought that it was going to be a third bounce, but after looking at it really carefully, it really looks like it was a mixture of the orb like splitting and or sliding a bit. So either of those could possibly be the reason why I thought there were 3 bounces. Pretty much every case where I thought I had a third bounce, I can't rule out either sliding or orb splitting. So yeah, unfortunately, I'm not too sure about third bounce. It could still be possible, but it's really looking like it's either of those 2 things pretending to be third bounce. Thankfully, there's another thing you can do that makes it to where you don't need a third bounce, and I'll cover that right now. Milk also allows for the orbs to be redirected without the need of a second bounce because they'll either slide off of or barely squeeze by certain objects. I haven't had the time to test this last bit extensively, so I don't know what the practical potential of these slides and double bounces are, but I am very excited to see what the community might be able to figure out with these once this video goes live. And who knows, maybe there's even more applications of this reduced friction that I haven't yet figured out. Oh, before we cut to some examples, I should warn you, Milk does seem to make the glitch where the orb's visual path and its real destination don't match a lot more common. I'm guessing this is the result of the orbs sliding off of something it normally shouldn't, and that's what causes the deviation between the visual orb and the actual point of impact. But once again, I have no way of knowing for sure. Also, don't get bogged down with all the super technical stuff about orb speeds and friction. Even without intentionally taking advantage of these aspects, the extra bounce alone makes Milk a crazy add-on. And I'm really only including the super technical stuff to put it out there and let people who are a lot better at testing these things than me really figure out what's going on. Now, onto the gameplay examples. Alright, for these next clips, I'm going to put a little indicator on screen of how Milk either helped or hurt me in each scenario when I went for a shot. I've got generic descriptions on screen now, and I'd highly recommend you pause and read them real quick because I'm not going to linger on this long for pacing reasons. Hello, Steve. Ooh, nice. That is the benefit of Milk on hills. You can use the hill itself as a ramp up, which is so fun. See? Sorry, Steve, for lawsuit. Nice. Alright. Honestly, bro, yeah. Your diction has no bounds. Oh, that was a nice one. Oh. No, I need to shoot that in a little further. Oh, there's another Yunjin right here, and they're wearing the same outfit. Okay, I'm gonna kick this, because they're not doing main for a while, I don't think. Nice. Just before she rounded the corner. And I think we can maybe down her because Brent's at the end. Yeah, perfect. Then we see the scratches over here, so we can hit that guy. Nice little bounce. Been playing any more Mirror Fate? No. I've been really busy lately, to be honest. I want to, but it's like, it's hard to have the time to like sit down and do that, because most of the time, especially right now, since I've got a project that's run as long as it has, you know, like anytime I'm sitting down and doing something that's like recreational, you get a tiny little voice saying, oh, you could be doing this, or you could be doing that instead, you know? I think I get Milk here. Nice. Oh, that's such a depressing topic to be talking about when I hit a clip like that. Still get it. And the reason for that is, like, with this kind of thing, the faster you can upload stuff and the more often you upload it is like directly proportional to how well it does. And the only way you can make things like that, oh, that's another good example. Probably. Can we bounce it off that? Nice. These loops are way less safe than people think against Unknown.